Hey everyone, this is Srinivas here and you are watching Tricks and Codes. In the last video, we have seen the data which we want from the application. But don't you think that we also want to send the data to the application which it can store and shows the data back to us? Of course, it is possible. But how can we do that? It is simple to send the data to the application. But before that, we need to see what is the HTTP methods that we want. So what is this HTTP methods? HTTP methods are basically the type of request that which we send to the application. We basically have 4 HTTP methods. I mean, we have other methods as well, but these 4 are most important. So let's see them. The first one is get, next one is post, put and delete. What these methods will do is, so the first one, get, will fetch the data from the application. Post will send the data to the application that which we want, and put will update the data inside the application, and of course delete will delete the data from the application. So when I say the data from the application, I basically mean the data which is stored in the database. And these operations are being performed by the application. So we will see in the database part later in this video. But first, we will see these 4 methods. Basically, all these 4 methods, we call it as an CRUD operation. We actually create, read, update and delete. The post will create the data and the get will read the data. Put will update the data and delete will of course delete the data. So I think you got some basic understanding of these HTTP methods. Now we will see how we can post the data to the application. So we will create a new method in the controller class and we will call it as add task. I think small letters and task, and we need to pass the object type that which we want to send. So I'm passing the to task only, like I just want to add a new task to the application. So for now I'm just returning to do service dot add task, because this service layer is responsible to add that data to the application. So let's create a method inside the service class as well, and for now we will just return null from this method. So yeah, as we are sending the data to the application, it might be the post request, right? So for that, we actually need to mention at the rate post mapping annotation on top of this method, and I'm giving the URL as add task only. So yeah, that's it. Like we have created this method where it will return null. But don't you think that we are getting the data from the user? But how does the application will get the data to store? So that one we can do it by using the annotation called at the rate request body. Now that's fine, we are getting the data from the user, but where we can store it? We need to have some database, right, to store this data. So for that, we are connecting to the database using the JDBC. JDBC stands for Java Database Connectivity. This is one type of methodology that which we can connect to the database. Okay, we are used to connect to the database using JDBC, but to which database we can connect? I mean, we need to have the database right. So here in this video series, we are going to connect to the MySQL database using MySQL Workbench. So to connect to the MySQL database, we actually need to open the MySQL Workbench. Again, you can easily find the videos in the YouTube to see how we can download the MySQL Workbench, and you can easily download it from there. So we'll open the Workbench, and here actually we need to give the password of this server, like this is the local Workbench. So we need to give the password, and here this is how the Workbench look like, and here we actually need to create a new schema, like it is like a database that which we are going to connect. So for that, just click on the create new schema and type to do management, then click on apply button and then click on apply and finish. So yeah, we have created this database, and here we are actually not able to see any tables. So that's fine. We will create the tables in couple of minutes. So now our main focus is to connect to this database. So to connect to this database, we need four things. One is database URL, database username, database password, finally the driver class name of the database server which we want to connect. And for that, we need to go to the application, to go to resources, and here we need to select the application.properties file, and here we need to mention four things to connect to the database. So the first one is the database URL. So let's type spring.datasource.url is equal to, I'm just pasting the URL of the database. So don't be confused with this URL. I will try to provide you in the description. And if you see, this is the URL that which contains JDBC MySQL and localhost, the port with that which the Workbench is running, and followed by the database name. The next one is username. So for that we need to type spring.datasource.username is equal to root, and spring.datasource.password is equal to root. Then the final one, spring.datasource.driver class name. Here we need to mention the driver class name com.mysql.cg.jdbc.driver. That's it. We got all the things that is required to connect to the database. So these are all, we call it as the data source details that which are required to connect to the database. So as you remember, there is a one more layer between the database and the service layer, which is the repository. So when I say the repository layer, it is also a separate class, right? But before that, we will create a packages for all these separate layers. So let's try to create the packages one by one. So first we will create a package for controller. So for that, we need to just mention controller here, and we move this controller classes in the controller folder. Just click on refactor and then the new package called models. So when I say the model class, it is basically the to-do task which we have created, and we need to move that class as well to the model package. Now the one more package called as service. So we need to move this service class to the service package. And finally we need to create a package for that repository. For that, just type as repository, and in the repository package we will create a new class called to do repo. So yeah, we have created this class called to do repo. Now we will create a final object of the JDBC template. So let's type private final JDBC template space the object name JDBC template. We are not able to import the JDBC template class here. I think we have to actually enable that JDBC dependencies in the pom.xml. Let's go to the pom.xml and remove that, and we will enable these dependencies in the pom.xml. For that, select this and press Ctrl / on the keyboard, and we will reload the Maven dependencies. So yeah, that's done, but still we couldn't able to import this package. So I think now we can able to import this JDBC template class. See, it is coming from the JDBC core. So and we are getting some error here. So we will give iterate data annotation on the top of this class to handle the dependency injection. Okay, now the error is gone, but we will see what this JDBC template class contains. Let's open this, and if you come down, we can able to see there are so many methods in the JDBC template class, right? So basically what these methods will refer is, we actually no need to write the SQL commands inside the SQL terminal itself, but we can able to use this template to write the SQL codes that which we want to execute from the application end. So for that we are using this JDBC template. Now we will go back to the repo class, and now we will create a table for our project. So for that, let's type public void create table if not exist, and we will type spring SQL is equal to create table if not exist, and we need to give the table name. I'm giving it as to-dos. Then we need to open the braces, and we will go to the next line to create this table. So for that we will actually give the column name as id, and I'm returning the data type int, and I am mentioning it to auto increment. Also I am mentioning this column as a primary key, and we will go to new line and we will give the second column name as title, and this one we mention it as worker of length 125, and we're also mentioning it, and we also mention it as not null. So then to the new line, here we mention the another column name as description, and we mention the type as text. Then the next column we mention as status, and it is a boolean, and the default value is false. I think we forgot to add the commas, so let's add it. So basically this is actually an SQL code which is required to create a table inside the database. So if you don't know it, it is fine. Just follow these commands so that we can create a table. So now we actually need to execute this SQL query, right, to create a table. So for that we need to type JDBC template dot execute SQL. So basically we are executing this SQL command, and we actually need to give annotation at the rate post construct top of this method, and now we will try to create a lambda function called as public final row mapper. We are creating the row mapper of to do task, and the object value as row mapper is equal to. So basically what this row mapper will do is, it will basically maps the rows of database results to the Java objects. So when we try to fetch the data from the output, we will get the entire rows from the database tables, right? That will actually convert into the Java objects using this row mapper. So for that we actually need two variables. One is rs, the result set, and the another one is row number. So this rs represents the result set which we got the data from the database, and the row number is actually the index of the current row that is being processed from the database result set. And now we actually need to write the function, and I'm creating a new object of to do task here, and we are actually mapping the result set data to the to do task attributes. So for that we need to type rs dot get type means int, and I'm mentioning the id, the first attribute of to do task, and we need to give the comma. Then we need to type rs dot get string and the second attribute, which is title, then the third attribute, then need to map the third attribute get type string, the third attribute is description, then finally the fourth one, which is boolean, rs dot get boolean, and the attribute is status. So yeah, that's it. Like, we have created the row mapper lambda function, and it is responsible to actually convert the database result sets into the Java objects. So we can now create another method called public int add task to add the data into the database. So we need the object of to do task here, and just mention the to do task object, and here we interact the SQL query to insert the data into the database. For that, let's type string SQL is equal to insert into to-dos of title, description, status, of the values of, we are mentioning the question marks here. So we are not mentioning any values here, we just mention the question marks here, right, in this query. So we are actually not mentioning the exact values in this. We will be going to mention those values in the return statement. So for that, let's return JDBC template dot update is equal to, like, we are updating a table and need to pass this SQL query, and then need to mention the values for the question marks which we have mentioned in the string, which is to do task dot get title, to do task dot get description, to do task dot is status. So yeah, like this we can able to add the data into the database. Now we will come to the service layer, and here we will create an object of to do repo. So let's type private to do repo, and I'm mentioning the object name as repo. And now we will come to the add task method, and here I'm calling the repo dot, I think we haven't mentioned the object here, so we will do it later. Repo dot add task to do task, add task of to do task. So we go to the controller layer, and we will pass this to do task which we are getting from the user, and then we will move to the service class, and here we just mention the object of to do tasks. So yeah, that's it, and now we will return task added successfully. So that's it, we are actually trying to add the task into the database, and we forgot one thing to actually mention at the rate auto to match the dependency injection, and we will do it. And I think in the repo class we actually forgot to mention this class as the repository, and yeah, that's it. Now we are good to start this application. Now just go to this main class and try to run the application. we are getting some error here mentioning that to-do management model cannot be applied to the given types int. So we will go to this to-do task class and we will try to remove this at that component, and we will try to run it once again. Still we are getting the same output. I think there is an issue with the Lombok annotation, so let's remove all these things and we will manually create the data setters and constructors here. So for that, give a right click and try to add the argument constructor, and the next one all argument constructor. For that, again click on right click and constructor. This time select all the attributes and click on OK. Now it's time for the setters. We are getting this error, that's fine, we will see it later. Now we will create, so now we will create setters, getters and setters. Select all and click on OK. Yeah, okay, that's fine, but still we are getting this problem. I think now it is gone. That's fine. Yeah, we can close this. So now we will go to the, now we will run the application. So yeah, it will take some time to run. We got some more error here. Seems like there is an issue in the application. We'll just check and get back. So yeah, I am back. There is an issue in this application.properties file. I just need to mention capital D in the driver class name, and we'll try to rerun this application once again. I think this time it should not cause an issue. Okay, yeah, the application has started successfully. Now we will try to refresh and see we got this table that which we have created, and we will see the columns. See, we got the columns which we have created from the JDBC, so that's fine, that's great. But how can we add the data into the database? Like using the browser, we can able to only send the GET request, right, for the REST API applications. But how can we actually add the data into the database? Like using browser, we can able to only send the GET request for the REST API applications, right? But this might require a tool for sending the data as well to the application. So such type of tool, we call it as a postman. Okay, why postman? Like we have many other tools in the market as well, right? But postman is the best tool to test these REST API applications. So that's where we are using the postman. Now I will open the postman application, and now we will try to enter the URL. First we will get the data from the application. We will see whether it is working or not. For that, type http localhost colon 8080 and send the request, and it is, yeah, okay, got the output. So that's fine, that's great. Now we will try to send the data to the application. So for that, open the new tab and type http colon localhost colon 8080 slash add task. And if you see here, we can able to see these many options to send the request, and I'm selecting a post request here and we'll try to send the data. But here we got the 400 bad request message over here because we haven't sent any data to the application, right? So to send the application, so to send the data, we need to click on the body and we need to select raw. Then we need to actually select the JSON format from text to JSON, and to enter the data I'm just try to copy this data from the output which we got. I'm just copying this seminar data and I'm pasting it here. So let's just remove this ID and we will try to make changes. Now I think it's good. We can send the data like this only. So I'm sending the data now. Click on send. See, we got the output as task added successfully. So we will try to see whether we have got the data in the database or not. So for that, open the MySQL Workbench and click on the run button. See, we got the data that which we have added into the database. So that's fine, right? That's awesome. We have successfully added the data into the database, and we will try to see what we can do with this data in the later parts of this series. Until then, please like this video, share with your friends, and do subscribe to this channel.